So let's say let's say that you had a sibling, a parent, someone petitioned for you to become a legal permanent resident of the US. Your petition's been pending for 5, 8, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. And you want to know how much longer is it going to take? How much longer do I have to wait until I can finally proceed forward with my petition? In this video, I'm going to go over how you can verify that information yourself. Uh, so keep on watching if you want to learn more. Hey everybody, this is attorney Jesus Martinez, and this video is going to be shorter. I'm just going to be talking about the Visa Bulletin Board, and that provides you information for certain immigration petitions. It's for the family-based category. If you are an immediate relative, then this doesn't apply to you. There is no timeline for that. There is no wait time. But let's say, a legal permanent resident petition for you, or your U.S. citizen brother or sister petition for you, that falls under the family category. If you don't know what that is, you don't need to know exactly where it comes from. It comes from the Immigration Nationality Act. If you're interested, you can look into that to get more information. But basically, just to have a general idea as to like how much longer you have to wait, this is all you pretty much just need to know. So, go to Google, go to Firefox, whatever web browser, type in Visa Bulletin Board. You could even type in Visa Bulletin Board, immigration, and it'll be this link, the travel.state.gov. You click on that, and what'll be helpful to have is if you have your notice of action. Most often it's going to be an I-130, some other petition. There's also business categories that apply to the Visa Bulletin Board. I'm not going to talk about that since I don't do business visas. I don't do business immigration, and those business employment-based categories are discussed here, and that's outside of my scope. But let's say you did have that I-130 submitted. You had that I-130 submitted on your behalf. It's going to say the I-130, and it's going to have your full name, the receipt number, the date that they received it, the priority date, the notice date that they sent you this notice of action. It's going to have the action that they're taking on the case, your address, your name, and what is going to be important for the Visa Bulletin is going to be the priority date. So, that priority date is not the date you send it, it's the day that they process it. So it may be that, you send it on a Monday, they receive it on a Thursday. If for whatever reason it's time sensitive and it needs to get there before a specific date, I recommend, submitting it, via 1-day delivery, USPS, FedEx, UPS, whatever. In some cases, the priority date is important. In others, not so much. But if it is, do that. And let's say now that you have the priority date, how do you know how long your case is going to take? Well, from the Visa Bulletin Board, you scroll down, and then this is what is important right here: the family sponsored preferences. And this is most often what applies to people. And the way you do this is the way you read this, this right here is what matters. It changes month by month. So for example, if we go back and just to make the distinction different, so let's go September 2020. If you are in an F1 category and you're from, I don't know, let's say India, they're processing applications as of September 2020 from the applications that were received on September 15th, 2014. In comparison, February 2021, that same category, F1, India. I mean, there isn't much of a change. It's the same exact date. But as you can tell, Mexico moved up a little bit. September to February, and most likely the reason there has been no change, it's because of COVID. The embassies, they have been shut down, so that is the reason there hasn't been any progression. Um, but I mean, I'm pretty sure some of these dates should be a little different. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's not much difference. Let me try a different year or a different month in 2020. Let's do November 2019. That should be a lot different. And sure enough, it is. So for F1, for someone from India, this right here is for February of this year. We're at the 15th of September 2014, whereas on November 2019, for people from India in the F1 category, they were processing cases as of the 1st of March 2013. So, depending upon the circumstances, it may move. But if you're not too sure, what category you fall under, usually the notice of action states, and it'll state right here. If it doesn't, it's not too difficult to, find out your category. So if you're the unmarried son or daughter of a U.S. citizen, that's F1. F2A, spouse and children of permanent residents. F2B, unmarried sons and daughters of permanent residents. So let's say you were unmarried when your parent petitioned for you and they're a legal permanent resident, but you then get married, your category then changes from F2B to F2A. And it's a very important distinction because, so let's say, well, the first thing, I mean, for the F2A category, it's for children and spouses. Immigration defines a child at the moment as of this day. I mean, things could change. I'm doubtful that things will change anytime soon, but the way immigration defines a child is someone who's under the age of 21. And just to make it simple, I mean, if you're a biological child under the age of 21, you are a child for immigration purposes. Once you become 21, you are no longer a child. There are exceptions to that. There are under the CSPA, which is a law that applies for immigration, but under that, in some cases, the age is frozen. I'm not going to get into that, but basically, if you submit an application before you're 21, it may be that when immigration adjudicates it, when they process it, even though you're over the age of 21, you may still be considered a child for immigration purposes. But basically, so the important distinction isn't just, who is considered a child or not. The important distinction, I mean, for most people is how long is it going to take? I mean, whether you're a child, whether you're not considered a child, I mean, most people just want to know how long is it going to take until I get my legal permanent resident status. And as you can see, let me see. Yeah, this is the 2021. So I'm going to close the one from 2019. But for 2021, if you're in the F2A category, that petition is current for all of these countries. In comparison, if you are now over the age of 21, it's going to be taking about 6 years for countries not designated in these categories. If you're from China, same thing. And if you're from Mexico, it's going to be all the way from 1999. So, if you are still a child, there are advantages to, submitting that petition sooner rather than later, because if you wait, it could be that you just wait maybe like a year, 2, 3, 4 years to submit it. Had you submitted it 4 years before, you could have, had your petition process quicker. Whereas if you waited and now you're over the age of 21, you're now going to have to wait 20 plus years. Big difference. Very big difference. F3 category, married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. So for this one, I mean, if you're over the age of 21, I mean, even if you are not, but you're married, you fall into this category, the F3. If you are the brother and sister of a U.S. citizen, whether you're married, whether you're single, you fall under this category, the F4 category. And I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward how you read the visa bulletin board. So if you're an F3, all of this applies to you. It's this whole roll. Excuse me. It's like an Excel sheet. Same thing with F4. All of this applies to you. You can't pick and choose, what you want. If you're in this category, you can't be like, oh, I want, this is what I want. Unfortunately, you can't do that. Whatever falls within your tiles, within your category, within your row, that's what applies to you. And that's the way you can figure out more or less how long is your petition going to take. Again, this sometimes changes. I mean, even though, we would think that this would be forward moving, that this would, progress. If it was on the 15th of September, next month, it should be at least, 30th of September, for example, basically just moving forward. That's not always the case. And the reason for that is, let's say, up to this day, up to the 15th of September 2014, immigration was receiving a normal amount of petitions. Theoretically, next month, this should be quicker. That may be possible, but the other thing that could happen is, maybe they were submitting average amount of cases up until this date, but for whatever reason, there was a frenzy. A lot of people submitted their petitions after this date, twice as much as the double. Twice as much as the double. That doesn't even make sense. Basically, they just submitted twice the average amount of petitions that were submitted. It could be that next month, when you go to the next the month for the visa bulletin, it could be that this date may stay the same. It may even go backwards. So that's also something to keep in mind. If you learned something from this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. If you're not already subscribed, consider doing that to get more information about immigration and accidents. Thank you and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.